Yo guys, welcome back again today. Today we're going to be having a Ghanaian mukbang. If you guys don't know, I love Ghanaian food. It's actually one of my favorite foods in the world, if not my favorite food in the world. And the thing I love about Ghanaian cuisine is that the complexity of spices and of flavor and of sweet and spiciness all together, it's just amazing cuisine that you should definitely try if you've never had it before. I'm vegan, so all this stuff is prepared in that manner. I know a lot of the things that I might have together, a lot of Ghanaian people might look at me and be like, yo, like, you can't mix this, or you shouldn't be mixing this, or maybe, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't mix this, but I don't know, you tell me, would you or would you not? So today, I'm actually going to talk about cryptocurrency as well while I eat, just so we can maybe, I guess, get a better understanding of what cryptocurrency is in the future of this like currency. And also I'm going to talk about relationships and what type of women that I like. So I just thought it would be nice to, you know, get a little bit more acquainted while I'm doing this mukbang. So let's go ahead and get into it. Today I have plantain, I have JOLLOF rice, which I love, which to me is one of the best rice in the world. If you haven't had JOLLOF rice, go get you some. Then I also have red. Now red is a dish that comes from Ghana that has black eyed peas, it has onions, it has tomato sauce, if I'm correct. And then also it can be served with plantains. Like I said, I also have plantains. And then I also have spinach stew, love spinach stew. And then also I have fried yam. And I also love fried yam. And let's just get right into it. I'm gonna go ahead and start off with some JOLLOF rice and a little bit of red, yo, with the black eyed peas. Who doesn't like black eyed peas? Spicy like I like it too. You have the nice, amazing, legendary palm oil, right, in this dish. If I'm correct, could be wrong. Maybe it's in the spinach too, but I know palm oil is used a lot in Ghana. But with the JOLLOF rice, the fluffiness, the a little bit of tomato, also, you know, which gives it that like tidbit of smokiness, the little bit thicker flavor in that rice. You have the red with the black eyed peas, with the onions. Yo, this is amazing. I'm telling y'all, what is you missing? So, while I eat, love Ghanaian food. While I eat, let's start off and talk about cryptocurrency, right? So before we start and talk about cryptocurrency, and I'm gonna eat, so this is gonna be a slow burn. And what I mean by slow burn is that I'm gonna be eating and I'm gonna talk. And when I talk, I'll probably be chewing just a little bit, but I'll try not to eat and talk at the same time, as I guess a lot of people think that's rude, but I'll do the best I can. Yam, spinach stew. And also, I will have the restaurant that I got all this food from. I actually did a video, and I did it with the lovely Nana. And the restaurant is a very amazing Ghanaian restaurant. I'll put the link in below. It's on the north side of Columbus, Ohio. So if you ever want to get great Ghanaian food, probably the best, one of the best Ghanaian foods in Columbus, probably in all of Ohio, this is where you go. This is where you go to go get it. So let's start off with what cryptocurrency is, but let's get a better understanding about currency or trade in general, because trade was probably the original currency. So trade, let's talk about the beginning of human civilization, right? Trade is originally the original currency. And when humans started off, trade started off with, hey, you have some salt and I have a horse, let's trade, right? So you would trade the horse for the salt. That seems like a pretty fair value. It seems like a pretty fair exchange, correct? I mean, I would think horses can do a lot of work. Horses can move things, and then for exchange you get salt, and salt can flavor your food, it can preserve food. So I think depending on how much salt you got for that horse, it would be a very fair exchange. Now, let's say that you traded something for something else, right? And a lot of us do this even now. We'll pay more money for something. Let's say, for instance, this white t-shirt had a logo on it, and it might be the exact same white t-shirt. It might have the same material, made the same way, even maybe in the same factory. But if it had a logo, that logo means something to somebody, the brand, and the brand means so much to that person that they would willing to pay another $10. So this is the next scenario of trade. Let's say that you traded a cat for a bar of gold, right? This got to be one amazing cat for a bar of gold, I'll tell you that. But let's say you traded a cat for a bar of gold. Well, the problem with trade in some aspects at the beginning of human existence, I would think, no one can say for sure, but I would think, is that if I would trade a cat for a bar of gold and a precious metal, which is shiny, which I'm pretty sure that most people will want, even if gold didn't have value back then, it had value for being shiny, and someone wanted something shiny to decorate their house, their hut, their village, whatever it was. And so gold probably forever would still be higher value than a cat. But if you traded a cat for a bar of gold, obviously, especially in modern times, most people would think that that cat would have to be like the most amazing cat. It have to be like a cat that was like a lion or a tiger or a liger, like a mini liger or something like that, for that to happen. And ligers are not small, like they're ridiculously big because you're mixing a tiger and a lion. But that wouldn't be a fair trade, right? Like you would lose value because you would give gold. Let's say that gold bar is worth, I don't know. I don't really know what a gold bar is worth right now. But let's say, I don't know. I don't even know what a gold bar is worth. $1 million, $500,000, I don't know. But let's say it's worth $500,000 to keep it simple, American dollars. You trade that bar of gold, you get the cat, right? Now, the only reason that most people would trade a bar of gold for a cat is because maybe that cat is made by Nike and they love Nike. It's a Nike cat. So you feel like you got the value of you trading for a bar of gold. When in all reality, let's be realistic here, that cat maybe should only cost maybe a couple $1,000s at max. Trading in that aspect wasn't necessarily the best route to go about it, right? So what happened was eventually people moved into carrying silver and precious metals with them, silver and gold, right? There's arguments that people say that we should keep our silver and gold, which I'm not against that. But the process of the human existence was carrying all this silver and all this gold. At some point, when these systems were implemented, these systematic corporation systems said, hey, don't carry your gold, don't carry your silver, because you might lose value from trading with somebody, right? Spending money with somebody, and also probably because they want your precious metals too. But trade it for this note, right? Which is a fiat. Trade it for this note, and this note is basically a receipt or a debt that says, hey, this person owns $10 worth of gold or silver, right? And so that's how you got into paper fiat. Of course, before that, there's societies that have had in ancient Africa, in ancient Asia, in ancient India, there's societies that have had different types of currency, right? Coins. Some places in Africa at one point were cowrie shells. Some places had their own coins that they had thousands of years ago, right? But in all reality, it's all the same thing. You have something smaller that you can carry, so you don't have to carry a bigger thing in value, but it means the same thing to some extent, right? Like obviously there's inflation and all this kind of stuff that we'll get into later. So then you move into what is known as cryptocurrency, right? Which is obviously the next stage and next evolution of the human race and how they exchange value for goods. And before we go into that, I'm gonna have a plantain because they've been calling me over here and I have not had them. And you know I have white on, so I gotta be very careful about what I do here. I gotta be very strategic because I love eating with my hands, but you might see me eating with a spoon because first of all, I'm wearing white and I got somewhere else to be. And second of all, I'm wearing white and you make one false move, your whole day's messed up. Plantain. The sweetness, put it in the spinach stew, get some spinach stew on the plantain. What's up? Now that's something. When you mix the plantain, sweet plantain, cooked perfectly. Not too sweet, not too overcooked and burnt. Just cooked perfectly. You mix it with the spinach stew, spicy, sweet. Spicy sweet combinations are just so good when done right. Let's go in for another one. So, what is cryptocurrency? Trade probably would be the original currency. Then we went to taking precious metals to dollars, right? Like debts or receipts, debts. And then now we're going to move up to cryptocurrency. So before we go into cryptocurrency, we have to understand what is cryptocurrency built off of. Cryptocurrency, a lot of people believe that Satoshi, which is a Japanese guy, no one even has heard from him since I think the last post in, I can't remember when it was, 2013, 12, 11, somewhere around that, 11 to 14, 15. And a lot of people think that he created the blockchain technology and Bitcoin. That would lead to creating the blockchain, and the blockchain, which is what a lot of people don't really understand. The blockchain is basically coding. That is the ground level, that is the road, that is the beginning and the building blocks of all cryptocurrencies. So the blockchain is a chain, right, with square blocks. So envision a block right here, and then you have a chain that connects another block. And within those blocks, right, there are ledgers, and ledgers are receipts. So every time someone buys cryptocurrency or sells cryptocurrency, right, or sells an NFT, which we'll talk about later, non-fungible token, whenever they sell any of those things, it always is recorded onto a ledger or a receipt. Just like you go in the store and you buy a candy bar, you will get a receipt back that says you bought a candy bar. Now, within these blocks on the blockchain, right? Blockchain, 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 there are all of those receipts, or a certain amount of receipts, that create a block, right? Like a virtual block. And so within that receipt or that ledger, it says that Afric Network has bought $1 of Bitcoin today at 1 o'clock. Right? So every time I buy cryptocurrency, or anybody in the world buys cryptocurrency, it's recorded on the blockchain, right? And within a certain block, and it has a ledger, which reminds me of the Wild Wild West, because in the Wild Wild West, they always said ledger, and I love Wild Wild West movies. But it's a receipt, and on that receipt, it says what time, when, and how much of something that you bought, right? So that's a ledger that's within a block, which is on a chain connecting other people's receipts or ledgers that have bought things from all around the world. And that is what most cryptocurrency, I'd probably say 99% of cryptocurrency, I could be a little bit wrong about that, but most cryptocurrency NFTs are all built on the blockchain. And the amazing thing about the blockchain is that it's very hard for people to thieve or to steal something off the blockchain, because there's a thing called mining, and there's people all around the world that have computers in their room or in a factory or warehouse, and they mine Bitcoin or they mine other cryptocurrencies. And mining means they have a computer in a room with a whole bunch of, I could be wrong about the terminology I'm about to say, but I would say servers, right, or boxes. And depending on how much power and how many boxes, or how much computing power their computer has and their servers have, that determines how many Bitcoin that they can actually create, virtual currency that they can create, so everybody like me and you can buy them. And they get rewarded for using their resources, as far as their electricity, using their computer, their servers in their room. They get rewarded by pieces of Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies given back to them for basically creating more of that coin. And there's also different cryptocurrencies that have limits. Some don't have limits. Some have limits of how many can be created forever. That's why Bitcoin costs so much, because it's sort of kind of like a store of value, or like virtual gold. There's only so many that can be created, and they're all out in circulation, if I'm correct right now, or they will be in circulation in years to come or something like that. But I think there's only, I don't know, I can't remember exactly how many Bitcoin there are, maybe under 50 million or 16 million. I think it's 16 million. And so therefore it makes it more valuable. Just like gold, it's rare, so it makes it more valuable because everybody doesn't have it like a regular rock that you're just kicking around in every place around the whole world. So with that being said, all those people that are actually have rooms in their house or in factories or businesses and warehouses that are actually mining or creating virtually a cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, because it takes computing processing power to do this. Basically, they're creating new code, right? They have a piece of the receipt or the ledger, right? And every time that someone buys something, that receipt is recorded on the blockchain. Now, here's the crazy thing about cryptocurrency, and this is why a lot of people believe it's so amazing. Regular money, I think it's around 5% of regular money can be scammed or people thieve regular money, like paper money. But in cryptocurrency, I think it's like less than 1%. Like it's less than 0.40%, if I'm correct, of people that can actually steal cryptocurrency, as long as it's being protected by the securities that is the blockchain. Of course, if you give somebody your security code, or you give them something that has your cryptocurrency on it, yeah, they're going to steal it because you're just giving it to them, and you might not even be aware of that. So that's why you got to be careful about your security codes, and we'll get into that exchanges and security codes in a minute. But so with that being said, the blockchain is very secure. I mean, it's really secure. Of course, like everything, I think there's going to be people that's going to exploit it at some point and can and probably have. And in the future, the more things get virtual, maybe I have to take back the statement because there might be something new like down the road. Who knows, 1,000 years from now, 500 years from now. But for now, it's pretty safe for the most part if you know what you're doing, right? And so therefore, the pluses of it is that it's secure. Also, it decentralizes a lot of the banks around the world. So therefore, if you live in a country where you can have a bank account and you do banking with a certain big bank, there are some places in the world where they might not have access to banks or stable economy, where they could actually use virtual money or cryptocurrencies to pay for things, right? Because majority of people in the world have a cell phone, or if they don't, they could probably get their hands on some type of technology, versus creating a whole infrastructure around a bank that might not be able, it might not even be in a stable country, or might not even be a stable place for that to even exist, or the trust between organizations and stuff might not exist, right? Or between the governments and the organizations. So there's a lot of uses for this. That's why I invested in Acoin in Africa in general, and there's other cryptocurrencies in Africa I've invested into, and I invest into other cryptocurrencies from around the world, is because a lot of Africa is already virtual anyways. Like a lot of people pay or exchange with minutes, on their cell phone. So a lot of people in Africa are already virtual in a lot of aspects, right? So there's a lot of ups to the blockchain: security, how access, I guess you could say, access to make more of a level playing ground for people even that live in countries that their economics or their country is not as stable. So on this blockchain, everybody that mines, or everybody that, I would say everybody that mines, if I'm correct, when they mine, they actually receive a part of the ledger or part of the receipt. So the reason that it's so hard to be a thief on the blockchain or cryptocurrency is because, let's say that, I think it's up to 500,000 people. Like a thief would have to go to 500,000 people and 500,000 computers, which I'm not saying is impossible, but it's really, 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 really hard. And they would have to change the receipt on each one of those computers, the ledger on the blockchain, right? They would have to change everything. They would have to change the time and the date that African Network bought this candy bar for $1, which is extremely hard, especially with all the securities and coding in cryptocurrency and in the blockchain in general. So I guess it's leading me to say that every time that you are going to buy something, that same receipt, think about buying a candy bar. If I bought a candy bar at the store and I'm the only one that had that receipt, right? Between me and the store has it on their database. But think about it on the blockchain in the cryptocurrency world. If I bought that same candy bar, now everybody that has mined or created that candy bar has a receipt of when I bought it, what time I bought it. So instead of just me and that, between me and that company having a receipt in their database and me having a physical receipt, now there's millions of people that have the same receipt that I have. Therefore, it's very hard for somebody to go back and say that you didn't do something or you did do something, right? So because of that reason, it makes it pretty amazing in general. So that's what the blockchain technology is. Of course, it can go more in depth, but you know, I'm eating Ghanaian food and I'm going to take a break for a second. But blockchain in general is a chain and information within a block of transactions. That's what the blockchain is in a nutshell. You know what I'm saying? And now we're going to move on to cryptocurrencies after I eat a little bit, because I know we in a Ghanaian mukbang gotta get some more of that red, man. This red is killing the game. We got the red with the black eyed peas, with the onions. What's up? Let me get some JOLLOF too. We're gonna do it like Walter Maya, village boy from Ghana. What's up? Plantain. Really living my life over here. I feel bad for you guys. I hope you're not hungry, because if you are, you're gonna be really hungry. And if you're watching me from somewhere that is late at night and you ain't got no food at your house until tomorrow, I am so sorry, because that was me last night. And I was craving food, but I was just too tired to actually make it or actually to go get anything. This one, fried yam, it's a little bit thicker than the plantain, but I don't know if you guys are gonna hate me for this, but I'm gonna dip the fried yam a little bit in spinach stew. What's up? This is good, delicious. You know what? I was under the impression that red was going to be a little bit more spicy, but it's not. Now the spinach stew, that's spicy. Man, if you got a Ghanaian wife, you really living, like, you're living. You are living. That's all I gotta say. You have different cryptocurrencies. So you have the oldest cryptocurrency, as far as what I know of. There might be one that's a little bit older. I mean, maybe prototypes, I don't know. Maybe it will come around in the future. People will come out with it. But as far as what I know, most people would agree on is that Bitcoin is the oldest cryptocurrency. Now, when Bitcoin came along, it sort of shook things up. At first, people didn't believe in it. Now they're believing in it. And it shook things up in the sense of actual digital currency, even though it's sort of kind of been happening before that, as far as with like bank accounts and, you know, using your credit card and debit cards. Really nothing's new under the sun. But let's just say that Bitcoin was the first one that sort of kind of shook the big establishments up in some aspects. So you have different cryptocurrencies. You have Bitcoin. You have, like I said before, is more so like virtual gold. That's how I would explain it. I think a lot of people explain it like that. And then you have Ethereum. Then you have XRP. Then you have all these different type of coins, right? Like Stellar Coin. You have all these coins, Dogecoin. So behind each of these coins, there is a company or a group of people that are trying to solve a problem, right? Bitcoin was the first, but a lot of people would agree that Bitcoin is not the fastest. Each coin, as far as like the network behind it and the transactions, how many transactions it can do, I think Bitcoin can only do 7 transactions a second. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. Always go do your own research, but I'm just going off the top of the head of all the things that I know. But I think that Bitcoin is 7 transactions a second. It could be faster, it could be slower, or it could be right about there. Just double check. But other cryptocurrencies, especially some that are speculated in the future, can maybe do 25,000 transactions a second, which some people say, why the heck do we need that many transactions so quickly in 1 second? Maybe we don't right now, but in the future, I don't know, when billions of people have cryptocurrency or when the technology gets better, then we might need that many transactions, probably way more transactions quicker, right? I learned that a long time ago, is that the more I stepped up my cameras on YouTube, the more processing power I needed on my computer. So then I had to buy a new laptop because my laptop couldn't keep up with the turnaround time of me trying to edit videos within a day and put them up. It would take 3, 4, 5 days, 2 days. Sometimes my old laptop would, if I had a huge video or maybe even like a video for 2 hours, it would render and save for like 16 hours, right? So I had to buy a new laptop. So just because at one point you don't need something, your lifestyle might change at some point. So a lot of people would tell you that Bitcoin is slow when it comes to transactions, or to when you're basically trying to buy another cryptocurrency on another exchange. You have to send a certain cryptocurrency to the other exchange. So if you have a cryptocurrency on Coinbase and then you want to send it to Bitmart, you have to use something, whether it's USDC or XLM, which is Stellar, or Bitcoin. You need something to send your dollar, right? Your American dollar, wherever you're at, your American dollar in your bank account. You buy cryptocurrency with it, and then, or USDC, which is a stablecoin cryptocurrency, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then you send it from Coinbase.com or on your phone. You send it, and when you send it, you have to send it to another exchange, right? And then you have to have an address to where you're sending it to. And some cryptocurrencies, they need, I think, a thing called MIMO. So you have to have those 2 addresses, but some cryptocurrencies only need 1 address to where you're directing it to. The same way you direct a domain, like a website, to go to africnetwork.com, you have to direct that website to go to that .com. You have to direct where you want your money to go when you send it from one place to another, and it needs an address. The same as you sending a letter to your grandmother in the mail, you have to put an address on it so it gets to the right place, right? So with all these different cryptocurrencies, they have different speeds at which they can process transactions. Bitcoin was the first one that was decentralized, right? To where no government or no bank owned it. But each cryptocurrency has a white paper, and a white paper basically tells you what the company or the group of people are trying to accomplish. What problem are they trying to solve with that cryptocurrency? So when you see Bitcoin or XRM or Dogecoin, people are just thinking about that in the money aspect, which in some aspects, yes, that's true. But also there is a company or a group of people behind it that is trying to solve something. And there's usually 2 layers, if I'm correct. Could be wrong about that. There's usually 2 layers. There's the network behind it, and then there's like the coin layer on top of it, or the like crypto coin on top of it. Then there's actually the network and the things that are trying to be solved in the background, or second layer. I think maybe some have 3 layers. I'm just going off the top of the head, guys. So obviously there's other videos that can maybe explain it a little bit quicker and easier, but I just thought while I was eating Ghanaian food, I would just talk about it. And so what you want to realize is that all these coins have a white paper, and in that white paper, which you can find on the internet, you can type it in, Google it, or you can find it on like Coinbase.com or any of the exchange, just like the stock market is exchange, like Wall Street, the NASDAQ, right? You can go onto Coinbase, Bitmart, Binance. All these are virtual exchanges. And on these exchanges, once you click on the coin, you can scroll down, and most of them will have a white paper where you can read to see if you want to invest in this company, to see what they're trying to solve. So these cryptocurrencies are really trying to solve a problem. Now, what are some of these problems? For instance, some cryptocurrencies are trying to send a ridiculous amount of money anywhere, anytime, any amount in seconds, right? So I can't remember if that's XRP or that's Stellar Network. I think it's Stellar. Oh, well, it might not be Stellar. It might be XRP, one of the 2. But they all are trying to do something different. AD Cardino is trying to create, well, you've already done them before. No one even realizes it, but they're trying to create smart contracts, or they have created smart contracts, but they're trying to make it become more normalized with the common person around the whole world. So ADA Cardano, a lot of people, I think it's at like 80 cents right now, or like $1 or something right now. At one point, obviously, when it first started, it was like 0 cents. And then as time goes along, people learn about a cryptocurrency. They start to hear the hype about it. They see what the company's trying to do. Then they invest in it and it becomes worth more, right? So some people have already got into ADA Cardano or Bitcoin or whatever 5, 6, 7 years ago, or 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, whenever it was created, and they've already made their money. They went from 0.000000001 cents, and they invested $4,000 or $5,000. And when that went to 1 penny or 2 pennies or $1 or $3 or not even a penny, some people half a penny, depending on how much money you put into it, $10,000, $20,000, they're already millionaires. Like they got their money and they got out, or they come back in when the market goes low or dips, right? Or it's called a bear market, right? Being bearish, like you hibernate, like you sleep, it goes down. At least that's the way I interpreted it. And then they come back and they buy it again, right? So you got to realize that every company has technology behind it. And before you invest anything, you want to know what that technology is that cryptocurrency or that company behind the cryptocurrency is investing in. Some terms that you should know. Bullish means the market is going up, or you feel bullish about something, a coin, meaning you feel very strongly that this coin is going to do good. Bearish is when the market goes down, right? Ledgers, hash, right? Hashes, memos or minos, I think it's memos. Diamond hands, paper hands, right? Paper hands is when people invest in something and they hold it and they're like scared as soon as they hear the news or when the market goes down, and they sell it off. Diamond hands, or just there's different type of hands, is like you hold it like strong hands. You hold it even when you're scared and the market goes up and down, right? These are all different terms. Then you have a term called whales. So there's whales, sharks, I don't know, shrimps. And whales are like these big players that have like 800,000, 5 million, 10 million invested, and they just wait for the market to go down. Then they buy a whole bunch of them. Like a whale opens their mouth and eats a whole bunch of krill. And then when the market goes back up, then they sell, right? So these are whales or people that just own a lot of cryptocurrency. So that's really what cryptocurrency is. It's not just one thing. It's actually technologies that are trying to solve something, whether it's smart contracts, whether it's cryptocurrency as far as fiat or transactions between banks and people, or, well, not banks and people, but just sending money between African Network and you, right? Without having a third man in between, no fees. There are fees. Another term, gas fees. Gas fees in the crypto world is basically a fee that you have to pay to transfer a cryptocurrency or money from one exchange to another. And then depending on how many people are on the network and how hot the network is, or basically how many people are buying at that moment, is how much the gas fees are going to be. And also like how outdated the cryptocurrency that you're sending is. Like I said, how many transactions per minute and how much it costs, how much work it takes, how many servers and energy it takes to create this coin and create a roadway for it to transfer from one exchange to another exchange, right? So that's sort of kind of cryptocurrency. Every cryptocurrency is trying to solve a different problem. Some are trying to solve the same thing, but it doesn't mean that they're all doing the same thing. Just like anything, Nike and Adidas, there's more than one shoe brand, there's more than one car brand. Just like this, there's a lot of companies, a lot of groups that are fighting to be number one, right? So just research. If you're going to invest in cryptocurrency, research. I would suggest, if you're in the United States or in the Western world, Coinbase. And then also I want to tell you one more thing before I stop talking about cryptocurrency, is there's a thing called hot storage and cold storage. Hot storage is when you leave it on an exchange, so you don't own your own securities. So if you go to coinbase.com, they own your securities. You just buy the cryptocurrency and they have a warehouse somewhere in California or all around America, probably California, and they keep your securities safe, right? The codes of the cryptocurrency that you bought, right? That's called hot storage. The advantage is you can liquidate it fast, you can sell them fast, but you don't own your own securities. So who knows? The company could run away with them one day if they wanted to. But Coinbase is pretty big. I don't think they would, but it's still a company and corporation. You never know what's going to happen because a corporation is like a human family. You just never know. So with cold storage is when you actually have something like a thumb drive, right? And I think there's a company called Ledger that actually makes them, and they copied their name probably from the Ledger that is on the blockchain. But when you have cold storage, you take your cryptocurrency off of the blockchain, right? The coding online, you take it off of there and you put it on something that's a thumb drive, like maybe the size that big, thumb drive. And when you put it on there, you put it in cold storage, meaning you're taking it offline and it's dormant. So it's sitting there, you own it, you have your security keys safely on this thumb drive, and you have to, you know, probably if you're smart, put it away somewhere very safe that no one knows about. And as you keep collecting, you can put things in cold storage and you have your securities. I think also a lot of people say write your securities down, your security codes down. But that's cold storage and hot storage, right? Hot storage, you keep it online, but you don't own your securities. You don't know what they are. You don't know the codes, and you let the exchange keep those for you. Or you can take them offline and do cold storage where you actually have the security keys. Now, I'm not saying that this is for a novice. If you don't know what you're doing, you could lose a lot of money. You could lose anything you have, really. And a lot of people at the beginning of cryptocurrency lost a lot of money, and a lot of people got ridiculously rich as well. So always, whenever you invest in anything, always start off with a little bit of money, just tester, right? And I know sometimes this is time sensitive stuff to where it's like, if you don't move quickly, then you might not make $1,000, $2,000, whatever that is. But you should always look at this as a long-term investment, or depending on what your definition of long-term is, maybe 6 months, maybe 10 years. It depends on who you are. But this is not day trading. You know, you get into day trading. I'm actually starting to get into day trading myself. But when you get more advanced at the basics of this, then you can move on to day trading, I would say. But always invest like $2, $5, $10, and then try these scenarios of buying cryptocurrency. Once you get comfortable with that, learn how to send them from exchange to exchange. And the reason you would want to do that is because sometimes there's coins that are on other exchanges that are not on maybe the exchange that you're on, right? And when you're trying to get into a cryptocurrency early, when it has like 0.00000000782 or whatever, right? Like 6 decimal places, zeros like behind the decimal place. When you're trying to get into cryptocurrency so early, that is so new, that it has a lot of hype behind it, or maybe you just heard people talking about this is going to be the next big thing. It's usually, for now, it could change in the future, but usually it's not going to be on the major exchanges like Coinbase or Binance, like the two biggest in the world. I forget what the third one is, but it might be on exchanges that are not as secure, or maybe don't have as many users, right? Figure out if you want to risk or take that risk and try those different exchanges, right? For instance, like Bitmart. Bitmart is not as big as Coinbase or Binance, and a lot of the smaller coins are on there, but you got to really know what you're doing when you're exchanging from one exchange to another, and also security risk as well. Not trying to scare anybody, but I'm just being realistic about it before you do this. So whenever you start out, I would suggest go to Coinbase if you're in the West. If you're in the Eastern world, Binance. I think Binance is a Chinese exchange. I don't think there's any in Africa yet. I don't think there's any Indian exchange, African exchanges yet, which is, I mean, I could be wrong about that. Because if there's an African exchange, I would love to see what that is. And I think actually that's a great idea for somebody to create an African exchange. If you're watching, create an African exchange, you know. But always when you're investing, always take a little bit of money first to test things out, test the waters out, and also to get yourself into constantly investing, even if it's a little bit of money. I'm telling you guys, it becomes fun, but also addicting after you get used to it. Believe me, I know. But it's a great thing because a lot of people don't invest for the future, and a lot of people want instant gratification versus future gratification. And I'm not promising anybody's going to be rich. I'm not saying that you should listen to anything I have to say. This is not financial advice or anything like that to anybody. I'm just telling you, like, investing for sure with everyone, I think that's something that a lot of people need. Of course, you have to acquire the skills to be a good investor, when not to invest, actually keeping up with the company. That's a lot of people, they just invest and they never keep up with the company, so they don't know when to pull their money out before the market goes down, or when to buy something when it barely even exists when it first started. But keeping up with the company is very important, right? Like that's why in the 1920s, 30s, you always see the men in the newspaper reading the stock market with this big newspaper, and you're like, what is these men reading? And well, they're reading that because you have to keep up with the owner of the companies or the owners of the company. What are they doing with the money? They okay, now they went public on the stock market, and now they're getting billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars. What are they going to do with that money? Because a corporation or company is the same as a human being or a family. Like they have the same rights as a human for a lot of things, and also corporations get a lot of tax write-offs, and there's a lot of things you can do in under a corporation that would be a lot easier to do because you're saying that you're going to be doing business versus doing it in your personal name as a regular person, right? Like in America, the regular person gets taxed the most. I don't know how much they get taxed, but it's like 20 in the high 20s. I don't even know, but it's in the 20% or maybe 18%. I don't know, somewhere in between 10 to 30%. I just know that for sure. I have a lot of things in my head, so I'd be getting things mixed up sometimes. But just understand that there are still real human beings that run these corporations, and depending on the moves that they make and the gambles that they take, that corporation can be up today and gone tomorrow. And you need to understand these things, and or also learn how to have tuition or foresight if you think that this person has bad tendencies, right? Like a person that you think that gambles. Well, are you gonna keep keeping your money with the person that gambles all their money away? No, you have to like think about these things. So when you invest in anything, especially cryptocurrency, do a lot of research, read a lot. Like read people's mistakes and learn from that. You're going to make your mistakes. I've made mistakes, but also understanding don't be scared to make mistakes and try to always mitigate and minimize the risk that you have in anything in life for the most part, right? So, like I said, after you keep investing, it's going to get fun. And when you start to see you making money or losing money, regardless of whatever it is, the ultimate thing that I think you're going to love the most is that you're actually learning. That's really knowledge is really like the key here. That's what you really should be happy about. Like, yo, like, yeah, I made a mistake, but now I'm getting better. Like progression and getting better. That should make you more happy than even losing money because you're like, okay, I won't do this again. I won't do that again. I've learned my lesson. And maybe I will do it again, but I know if I get got again, I knew, but I just need to get like tighten up. You know what I mean? So that's sort of kind of cryptocurrency and my little spiel during my Ghanaian mukbang. I hope that I've at least taught you something. I know maybe it was a tidbit scattered, but I didn't expect it to. I'm probably going to make a video about it, like a very coherent video at some point. And like I said, I could be wrong about some things, but that's just my accumulation for the last 4 to 5 years of how much information I've gathered in my interpretation of it while I eat Ghanaian food that I love so much. And then we about to go into what I love in a woman and relationships in a second. So if you're still here with me, rocking with me, then yo, what's up? Sweet and spicy. So, what do I like in a woman? Oh man, African Network, you getting spicy like this spinach stew, but it's a mukbang, right? So you know, I'm a man of high taste. You know, that's why I'm eating Ghanaian food. But what I like in a woman? Well, scratch that. We'll go to relationships first. What I think about a relationship. What I think it takes to grow a strong relationship, and maybe where I messed up in the past in some of my relationships. So, you guys know me. I'm a very, I think like, I hope I'm a very leveled off person, or I'm a person that believes in balance. I'm a person that believes in the woman and the man, you know, contributing to the relationship equally. I'm not really, I don't think everything can always be equal, of course, like that's not realistic. But I think that like the care and the thought being equal. I don't believe in a man using a woman. Like I don't believe in that. I don't believe in a man like looking at a woman and just using her up. and he does nothing. And I don't believe in a woman on the flip side, because I know a lot of women do this. I don't believe in a woman using a man for everything that he has, and also thinking that a man is put on this earth to just chase a woman and also just to be there to take care of her. We're all human beings here, people. Regardless if you're a man or woman, you know, if you're blessed enough to have 2 legs, 2 arms, whatever, like no other human being is put on this world that owes you anything. I mean, it's just the truth. Like, I don't care how good looking you think you are or you think that you have value. No one is put on this earth, maybe outside of your parents and maybe your family members, but other people, to do anything for you. Like, that's, I feel like this big misconception, like, oh, I'm pretty, so the world has to do something for me. No. Now, am I saying that there's not going to be men and women that are not going to do things for you? No, I'm not saying that. Of course, there's billions of people, and there's always going to be somebody that's going to do something for somebody. But the way that I see it is, I feel like 2 people should be equal, or at least like in the sense of when they love each other, they would do equally things for the other person that the other person would do for them. I'm just not into the one-sidedness. I'm not into women taking advantage of men, or women thinking that men should do everything. Maybe it was the way I was raised. I don't know. I always saw equality for the most part. So I feel that a woman and a man should take care of each other. That's just how I feel in a relationship. I don't think that a man's put on this earth to take care of a woman forever, unless there's certain scenarios where the man is the only one that can work and the woman can't. I understand all that. And I also don't think that a woman is put here to take care of a man forever and ever and ever and ever. So that's why I sort of kind of think of relationships. I think it should be equal. I also think that in a relationship, there's a lot of things that a lot of people need to work on, right? I think the number one thing that 2 things people need to work on in relationships, or at least what I've seen that make like better relationships, is ego and communication, right? The first thing that you have to drop as a human being, which is really hard to drop. I mean, excuse me, I have problems sometimes. Yeah, I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I have problems sometimes. But the first thing you have to drop is your ego. And that's a hard thing to drop, especially if you've had an ego your whole life. Who knows how big your ego has been your whole life, depending on how you was raised, who you came from, how spoiled you was, whatever. If you were always the number one in everything, you got to drop your ego. Now, I didn't say abandon your ego, because abandoning your ego, to me personally, I don't want to say it's impossible, but I think that you might need ego here and there, right? But like, having an ego and thinking that you're always right, or thinking that like the whole world is against you or whatever it might be, because we all feel this. I feel this actually a lot. I feel it a lot. It doesn't mean that I say it, but I'm just saying I understand like how I feel about things, what I think I deserve sometimes, what I think I don't deserve sometimes, like, you know, whatever. Like, letting go of your ego to some extent when you're in a relationship is very important if it's going to work. I feel like for most relationships, because like there's going to be times where your wife or your husband is going to, like, you know, make you feel bad, I guess I would say. I was going to say belittle your ego, but make you feel bad. And I think not taking things to heart all the time, or thinking that you're always right all the time, is very important for making a healthy relationship work for a very, very long time. Even if inside you're crying or you're hurting, you can sort of tell the track record of a person if a person would treat you a certain way. Even if something today might come out sounding mean, and it might really hurt, and inside it might really hurt, like, you don't always have to pull the trump card out and just go off on that person or yell at that person, or like say it's over and we're done with it. It doesn't have to always be all that, right? And also like letting go of your ego in the sense of always thinking that you're right, because we can always all learn something, you know. And it's hard, you know, like it's hard, especially when you know something about a lot of things. Like, yo, I know a lot of things about a lot of things, so sometimes it's hard for me, especially with cars. It's hard for me to, like, if I'm in a heated debate, it's hard for me to let my ego go. But the one thing is, I know for sure, is that I always try to learn, even if I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? And I don't always try to seem like I'm right all the time, for the most part. But I guess what I'm trying to say is dialing back your ego a little bit, right? The next thing, communication, which I put understanding in communication too, but maybe I shouldn't. Maybe understanding should be second. Understanding, understanding that your wife or your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend are not you. And sometimes when you put two different sexes together, men or women, men, I'm sorry, not men or women, men and women, when you put those two together, they're totally different sexes. The lifestyle of how they grew up are totally different. The way a woman grows up and her vision of the world, of course, it depends on culture to culture, right? So, like, I'm not saying every woman's the same. It's different from culture to race to ethnicity, whatever. We get all that, right? There's different cultures. But usually, for the most part, not always, depending on what society you come from, but a lot of times, especially in the West, men or women are they're different, right? Like as a man or a boy, you grow up in, like, a lot of boys, not all, but a lot of them are like play some type of sport. They're rough or whatever. Women play sports too, but you know what I mean. They're rough. They're what they're into usually are like more, I guess, boyish things. Like, I don't know too many girls that are into cars. Matter of fact, I don't really know too many people around me that are into cars in general. But what I can say though is that more men are into cars than women for sure. And I don't mean that in the back, because I met some really dope women that are into cars. But I'm saying, like, yeah, it's a majority of a man thing, right? Like, versus most men don't play with dolls. Most boys don't play with dolls. Like, I mean, like Barbie dolls, at least. Maybe when they're really, really young, like a little kid, when they're around like a whole group of kids, like girls and boys. But like when they get older, they don't play with dolls, right? But a lot of girls do, or whatever it might be. Like, even if they're on a tablet playing a game, they're gonna like dress themselves up like a girl. They care about the way that they look. Men do too, but they care about it in a woman's way, right? So the first thing to understand is that understanding is very hard. Understanding when someone is a different sex, how they feel today, how their mood is, that's a very hard thing to do. Because I feel like a lot of guys are like sort of kind of straightforward, logical. Yeah, we have a lot of emotions and stuff, so we're not robots. Like, a lot of women think we're so simple. We're not really that simple. I mean, some men are, but there's a lot of men that are not really that simple. But in the sense of like how we do things, because our makeup in our body even is different, right, from a woman. So understanding a woman understanding their man and a man understanding their woman, that's a very big deal. And a lot of people don't even make it past that part of understanding. First, they don't make it past ego. Then second, understanding, even to understand that it's okay to, you can agree to disagree sometimes, right? So that's the second thing, understanding. Third thing, communication. Communication is huge. Like, to be able to communicate with someone is a very big deal, and a lot of people don't know how to communicate with each other. So one thing I try to pride myself on, or try to learn from, because I've had certain situations. I've had situations where a person that was way more versed on the subject that we were talking about was way higher than me. So they had to bring their, they had to bring their knowledge down. And when they brought their knowledge down, they had to bring it down in a sense of making me understand, right? For communication. And there was times where I was with somebody and I was a way better communicator, and the other person had a lot of ego. They didn't want to understand, right? And they wanted everything their way. They didn't want to understand another person. And third, they didn't know how to communicate, or they thought because I was such a good communicator that I was always trying to give them a lecture, when in all reality, I was just trying to fix the problem so we can move on to the next problem. And then also another thing you got to realize, sometimes if you try to fix a problem and somebody's always constantly fighting you, this is one thing I learned, usually they have other things in mind. Usually they have other plans. They probably don't want to be with you forever. If you start to notice somebody switch up and they're starting to always get irritated, or even when everybody else around you, their family, you can see the logic in this, and then they just can't see it. Some things is understandable, but all the time for like a certain amount of time period, they probably going to someone else. Like, they're probably going to leave you for somebody else, so they probably have somebody else in mind. As sucky as that is to say, I had to learn that the hard way, but it's just the truth, right? So really make sure you have somebody that can communicate and can communicate in a way that you guys can move in a cohesive manner, right? You don't want to leave the house or be in front of the kids arguing all the time. Every once in a while, I know it's going to happen. You can't help it. But you don't want to be arguing in front of kids all the time. You don't want to be leaving the house making the world think that this unit is weak, right? My wife and my husband, they're weak in public. You don't want that, because that's when people start to eat you apart and they start to do whatever they can to win this war, right? So they, if you have two parts of the army that are bickering with each other, like, it's very rare that you're going to win the war, at least in an efficient way. So letting go of your ego to a certain extent, right? Or toning it down a lot. Two, uh, understanding each other and understanding the world around you and you in it, you both in it. And three, communication. I think those are the three big things that most people need to work on in the relationship, like the first things they need to work on, right? And also, I think that equality is very important. Of course, within reason, right? Like if the woman's making all the money, she's a millionaire, or she's somewhere and the man can't make money or he can't work, or maybe he's just a stay-at-home dad. I don't know. I don't really care. It's 2021. I hate when people look at a man, oh, you're less than a man if you stay at home. Well, there are men that stay at home and their women is the one bringing home the money, and they're still going to be married and their woman's still going to bring home money regardless of how much you don't like it. All these scenarios have always existed. Man taking care of woman, woman taking care of man. It's just whichever scenario is yours, you know? Um, but I don't think anybody should feel ashamed of it if they're truly trying. If both people are truly trying and pulling their weight in which whatever manner that is, like, I feel like it's all right. Like, I don't see what the big hoop die is. Because when you have kids and you have a family, most of the time, unless you're getting played to the left, it's going to be both of you guys. I don't know where this fairy tale is of people thinking that they just going to be like, yeah, I'm going to have kids, I'm going to get married, and the woman's going to do everything. Or I'm going to have kids, I'm going to have married, and the man's going to do everything. It's just not realistic. So when you're going into a relationship, I don't even know why people even think like that going into a relationship. It's like, oh, when we first meet, the woman or the man has to take care of everything. Grow up. Because that's not what it's going to be. Regardless of how much you want to, some point you guys are probably going to get a house together. Some point you guys are probably going to mingle financial together. To me, it doesn't change just because you're somebody's wife or husband, because these are practices that you should be practicing before. Those are just titles. The same way you say you're a girlfriend and boyfriend, well, when you're husband and wife, you know, yeah, you might have a government or a law that's involved, right? And I don't know, hopefully a lot of people's plans is not to take half of somebody's money depending on where you live at. But outside of that, like, yo, these are titles. They're all titles. Like, it will really show if you truly love somebody, if you go through thick and thin and you stay with somebody when they're at their worst time and their good time. That's really at the end of the day that all that matters. All these titles, all this showing off and all whatever, this is not, like, it's all good, you know, maybe tradition, all this kind of stuff. But like, is that person really there for you at the end of the day? You know what I'm saying? That's really what it is. At least that's why I think that is some of the things that, you know, could make a successful relationship. What did I know? I'm single. So last thing, what do I like in a woman? It's funny because I've been getting a lot of requests. People wanted me to do reaction videos, which I'm going to do. I just want to do it in the right way. And people have asked me I should do a Q&A, whatever that might be. But I'll tell you, what I like in a woman is I like a woman that is at peace with herself. Because I notice a lot of women, not all, but some, they're not at peace with themselves. They don't really know what they want. They're not okay with just being by themselves. I know I hear a lot of women say, I'm okay by myself, I'm okay by myself, whatever. And then at the end of the day, you still go get a man. So like, why lie to yourself? But, and maybe at that time, maybe they are okay with themselves. There was a time where I was okay with myself for a minute, just because I was trying to like relearn who I was, get things together. So I'm not saying in that aspect, but like forever, well, maybe you should go be a nun or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you know, like, stop lying to yourself. But, somebody that understands who they are, and somebody that understands that growth is something that you do for your whole life. You don't just grow one day and I'm this person forever, because once you get to that being that type of person, you're going to be content, you're going to be stuck, and you're never going to take in new information. And if you don't want to take in new information, if you don't want to even have your ideologies tested out, then like how are you ever going to get better? As much as that hurts, because I've had my ideologies tested out sometimes, and it just is what it is. These are the barriers of a human being that we have to break down if you want to, I guess, like acquire more wisdom or grow more. What else do I like in a woman? I like a woman with hobbies. You know, it was funny because I was talking to one of my family members, and me and him was always going back and forth about hobbies. And we always talk about, and I've always told him, like, I really love and respect a woman with hobbies, because I meet so many women that don't have hobbies, that don't really like to do anything but go out to eat, go to the club, and go home. Which is okay, because I like those things too. But do you draw? Do you play an instrument? Do you play guitar? Like, is there anything in this life that you truly, truly love? Do you love video games? Do you love anime? Do you love cars? Do you love to travel? Do you want to like learn new languages? Do you want to explore new cultures and their ideologies and their religions and their economics and their makeup and how they do things? Like, do you knit? Can you make a blanket? Like, can you build a house? Like, what do you do? What do you love? What is something that if nobody was around outside of sleeping, which I think everybody loves that for the most part, sort of, unless you just like really money hungry and you're like, nah, you'll never sleep. Sleep when I die. You know what I'm saying? Which there's those people too. But what are your hobbies? Like, I love a woman that has hobbies, like something she loves to do, read, write, poems, things like that nature. Like, I love that. And the more hobbies you have, because I'm a man of many hobbies. I mean, many hobbies. So when I don't understand the word bored. Like, I just never really truly understood the word bored. I think I've only been bored maybe once in my life, or when I was a kid or something. I can't even remember, because the word bored don't even make sense to me. Because as soon as I'm done with one thing, I got 20 other things that I need to catch up on or I want to do. So I think a woman that has hobbies is a really great thing to me. Like, the more hobbies, the better. Of course, I don't want you to have so many hobbies you neglected me. But if we going to go do those hobbies together and you really love them and you want me to come with you, then yo, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Let's rock. So hobbies. I also like a woman that's calm nature. Now, being calm nature doesn't mean you can't wild out and dance and be partying and all that kind of stuff like that. Like, no, it's not what that means. Well, as long as you're doing it in a respectful way, you'll do it with me. But like, I'm talking about calm nature. Like, you're content, you're calm, you can, your nature, the nature of yourself. You know how they say like the nature of an animal or the nature of a Pokemon. I don't know if anybody likes Pokemon, but the nature of a Pokemon. What's my favorite Pokemon? I can't remember. I don't even know what my favorite Pokemon is. I mean, I think everybody loves Pikachu. Um, There's a lot of them. Gengar, Mime, Dragonite. There's even way newer ones that I don't even know about. But anyways, yo, like in Pokemon, I used to play a lot of Pokemon games, especially when I was a teenager, and they had different natures, and it's actually dope because I wish I would have figured that out when I was playing it, because I didn't understand when it said the nature, because all of them were different. Some were timid, their nature was timid. Some nature I think was aggressive, right? And whatever their nature was, I think it would allow them to learn certain moves. So if you had an aggressive nature, you couldn't learn a move that somebody that had a calm nature can learn. And when I first heard about that, I was like, is that really true? But then now you think about it, can a person that's like really, really livid and wilding out really be, let me think about this. Could they really be precise, and could they really be like devise a plan? If how hard is it? It's hard to devise a plan in a chaotic situation. Take chaos, right? Take chaos and then try to put calm in chaos. I'm just saying the natural nature of chaos, whatever that being or entity is, and then try to put calm there. Like, only one or the other can exist at that time. So all I'm trying to say is that, like, maybe somebody that's only 2 foot tall can never dunk because that's not in their nature because they're only 2 foot tall. Like a little baby can never dunk or a kid can never dunk because they're only 2 foot tall. If you told them to go to the NBA and dunk right now or whatever, like a basketball, they could. It's not in their nature to do that. So for me, I like a calm natured woman, relaxed and calm natured woman. Like that's what I love. I don't like a woman that's always like drama or wilding out or rah rah rah. Don't get me wrong, there's a place and time for all that. You know what I'm saying? But I've never really dated a woman like that. Now, do I know women that can get like that? Have I been around? I mean, have I dated women that have dualities that if they need to, they can do that? Yeah. But I'm talking about your nature in most scenarios. I like a calm, relaxed, laid back nature, such as myself. At least I think myself, right? Mm. So, another thing that I think that I look for in a woman is understanding. Understanding that you have to go into every situation with an open mind, even though you might have prejudgment about things or people, with an open mind. Like, I really look at a woman that is caring by nature and is a giver to some extent because you got to take care of yourself first and people around you, but a giver to some extent. Like, I really pay attention to all that because if we had like one piece of bread left or whatever and we were both hungry, I would give you that whole piece of bread, you know, like, or I give you half that bread. And I'm looking for a woman that's going to give me half the bread back, not just eat it all, you know, and say, hey, I'm a woman and you're a man, so you're supposed to feed me. Like we're in the middle of the desert or somewhere, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking for a woman that's like caring, and I like a woman that's caring and cares about so many different causes and different things, whatever it might be, right? And I like a deep thinker. Like I like a woman that thinks. I don't like a woman that's just like sort of airheadish and ditzy. I mean, that's okay too. Like I've actually have been attracted to women like that in the past a little bit. I don't know what that is. Like maybe because they just don't know that much or they don't care to know that much or it's just their attitude that I don't really know. But for the most part, like someone that actually is a thinker, somebody that can think deep or just think in general about every situation. Conversation, can have a conversation. You guys know I can talk a lot because I'm on here and I don't even know how long this is. It's probably gonna be like 30-40 minute video, but I'm on here talking. And I think conversation is very important to be able to conversate in communication. Having someone that you can communicate things to when something goes bad or something goes good, like having a person you can communicate to that can take that information and they can apply that information or knowledge and get things done, whatever it might be. Like, you know, like, and also somebody that's reliable, like somebody that's not wishy-washy. Some woman that's not like, oh, I love you today and 6 months from now I'm tired of you. Like, I'm not into women like that. Like, some I know a lot of men that like that. They're like rough women. They like women that are like physical with them. They like women that are like not loving and caring and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I don't even know how you guys rock with them type of women. I mean, I guess there's women for everybody in this world, but like, I like a girly girl. I mean, like, not a damsel in distress. Like, I don't want a woman that thinks like she can't do anything. But I also like more of a woman and a lady than I do like, you know, I guess, I don't know, like aggression, right? Like I don't really like aggression a lot when it comes to women, unless they have to protect themselves or do what they got to do. So those are some of the things that I just like in a woman, and I just think that a well balanced woman that can communicate, that is open minded and unique, those are the things that I love in a woman. Like I actually like a lot of unique things. If you haven't seen it, I've been listening to Tyler, the Creator's new album. It's really dope. And if you haven't listened to it, maybe you should. You might not like it. You might like. I don't know. I always try to share my playlist with people, but like the reason I like him, or the reason I like different artists, all kind of different artists, but one reason I like him is because he just does whatever he wants, and he was that kid that people used to look at like, what are you doing? Like, who are you? You're doing crazy stuff. But I like that the notion of it, or I like the what am I trying to say? I like the embodiment of that, of somebody that doesn't have to do what everybody else has to do all the time. Somebody that just wants to be themselves. Like, you can do what other people do sometimes, but I like a person that can just be who they are, and I can usually sense it from a mile away if somebody's acting like everybody else or somebody is just trying to be who they are. And you know, we all act like other people at sometimes, every once in a while, but just not all the time. Like, majority of the time, no. Like, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? So, yo, guys, that was my little rant. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this Ghanaian mukbang. This is something I've been wanting to do. People have been asking me questions, so I'm like, yo, I just might as well answer them all in this video. Don't know if I answer them all, but I tried to, or at least I tried to talk about whatever I could talk about. And today we ate plantain, beautiful jollof rice. We had red. If you're from Ghana, you know red. We had spinach stew, and we had fried yam. So I'm gonna keep eating, but please like, subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you get all my videos. Add me on all social medias, which is Afric Network, which is Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, Snapchat, and Facebook. Each one teach one. Always love each other, always learn from each other, and always try to keep an open mind. Yo, guys, until next time, get you some Ghanaian food if you never had it. And you know what? If you're a man, you might want to get you a Ghanaian woman. And if you're a woman, you might want to get you a Ghanaian man. You know what I'm saying? Because I love the culture, and this food is delicious. Yo, guys, until next time, peace. One love.